Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Prapasit Kongcharan, and I'm from grade 6. Today I'm presenting about chemical balance, the code of compounds. Firstly, what is a chemical compound? A chemical compound consists of two or more elements that chemically bond together, forming a new substance. For example, hexane, which consists of carbon and hydrogen. It ensures chemical reaction obey the law of conservation of mass. So what is the law of conservation of mass? It stated that mass cannot be created or destroyed in a chemical reaction. It could only change form. This is an example of a chemical equation, but this is not balanced. Why? Stay tuned to find out. This is Antoine Lavoisier. He is a French chemist, and he was the first scientist to explain the law of conservation of mass in the late 1700s. Now let's understand chemical equations. Chemical equations consist of two parts, the reactants and the products. The reactants are the starting substances. The products are the result of the chemical equation. Now let's talk about subscript and coefficient. The big numbers are called the coefficient. They are used to balance chemical equations. They can be changed. The small numbers are called the subscripts. The subscripts determine the number of atoms for each element before we start. They cannot be changed. Now let's talk about how to balance chemical equations. So first we need to list all of the elements in the reaction. So here we have oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen. Next we need to count the numbers of atoms for each element for both sides. So we have 2 atoms of oxygen, 1 atom of carbon, and 4 atoms of hydrogen on the reactant side. On the product side, we have 3 atoms of oxygen, 1 atom of carbon, and 2 atoms of hydrogen. Next, we need to check for balanced and unbalanced elements. So right here, our only balanced element is carbon, the rest are not. Lastly, we need to balance the equation by element. So let's start by balancing hydrogen, which we could simply do that by adding a coefficient 2 to hydrogen to get 4 hydrogens and 2 more oxygens. Since we have 2 types of oxygen, the oxygen in carbon dioxide and the oxygen in water. So we'll get 4 hydrogens and 4 oxygen. Now hydrogen is balanced but oxygen is not, so let's add a coefficient 2 to oxygen on the reactant side to get 4 oxygens. So now our equation is finally balanced. Now back to the equation I paused earlier. It is not balanced because we only have 1 atom of oxygen on the product side, but 2 on the reactant side. So we could add a coefficient 2 to water on the product side to get 2 oxygens, but 4 hydrogens. Now oxygen is balanced, but hydrogen is not. So we need to add a coefficient 2 to hydrogen on the reactant side to get 4 hydrogens. And now our equation is balanced. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Earth. So my question is, why do we need to balance chemical equations?
Because we need to obey the law of conservation of mass, which stated that mass cannot be created or destroyed in a chemical equation. It could only change form.
Can you simply explain the law of conservation of mass, so that even the small kids can understand? Can you give examples?
So, for example, we have to make orange juice, we need 2 tablespoons of powder and 1 cup of water. If we add too much or too little, it will not be balanced, it will not be yummy. So that's why.
Please explain in the term of chemistry, please. But make it easier to understand. Doesn't mean that you have to give the new example that is not related to what you are doing.
Okay. So we could, for example, for the equation H2 plus O2 equals H2O. So,
Miss San, you open the slide, please. No, I mean almost the last slide. Go back. Okay. Explain from this.
so this one, we only have to understand better, we have only two oxygens here and only 1. On a scale, it will not be balanced because the reactant side will have more than the product side. So it will not be balanced. So we need to balance it to make it equal, to obey the law of conservation of mass.
Hello. Does the number of atoms represents also the mass of the element, or as a whole, as a chemical equation? The atom is also equal to the mass. So is that what you mean?
Yes.
Did you say that mass cannot be destroyed?
Correct.
But why cannot mass be destroyed?
Because Antoine Lavoisier explained this law of conservation of mass to be because mass couldn't be destroyed or created or destroyed.
Mass is the stuff inside our body, right?
Yes.
If we get
Can I help? Actually, to make it easy to understand, you said that mass cannot create or destroy, means that it can only change in another form else. But if it has 2 oxygen, anyway, it's gonna have 2 oxygen. It cannot reduce to 1 oxygen or adding more to be 3 oxygen. So in this equation, answer about Miss Tweety, you have 2 hydrogen, right? And you have 2 oxygen. You're gonna form H2O, means that 1 molecule you have 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. So in this case, if you make 1 molecule of water, you will need 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. So you will have 1 left oxygen. Actually, the electron cannot stable if it goes alone, stay alone. So it will require 2 more hydrogen. That's why you need to add 2 more hydrogen to make the oxygen have some kind of pair something to make it as a molecule, right? That's why he said that you have to add number 2 in front of hydrogen gas. Right? This is easier to understand, right? Any questions? Okay, thank you, Earth.